Thank you. It is 7 o'clock, November 9th. And I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Jerome Town Council conducting via Zoom to order, please. And Candace, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dillenburg,
Present.
Vice Mayor Worth,
Present.
Ms. Barber,
Present.
Ms. Harvey,
Here.
Ms. Moore.
I'm here.
Good, thank you all, and thank you for all our other participants attending us. Couple things just to start us off. I'm going to move some things around if it's okay with you, since we've got Attorney Bill Sims only for a short period of time. And so I'm moving up 8C, 9G to be the first items that we deal with this evening, and then we'll continue on through our sequence of items. So with 8, if that's all right, with 8C, that's going to be the first reading of ordinance 477, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Jerome, Yavapai County, Arizona, approving an amendment to the zoning map. And Candace, are we going to start with the discussion? Or
Mayor,
again, this
Jane
is
has
just the
her-
first reading, so we have no action to really take on
That's
this.
correct. Jane has her hand up, Mayor.
Jane, there you go. Sorry. Yes, Jane, thank you.
Yes, I wanted to address perceived appearance of conflict of interest on this item, as well as 9G.
Okay.
And this is a result of an email from Cameron Sinclair to our attorney, Bill Sims. And always, as a council member, I feel that it's utmost importance to take the best interests of the town to heart. And although I feel I can make an unbiased decision on this issue, I intend to recuse myself from both items 8C and 9G due to the perceived appearance of conflict of interest.
Thank you,
And
Jane.
in sharing the details for my recusal, I feel the need to address publicly a few of the statements in the email, which I would like to have shared with the other council members, as well as be in the record discussing my conflict of interest. One of the items, it said a combined development agreement can be tabled repeatedly for things beyond the control of the rezoning applicants. Potential litigation by UVX on Town of Jerome over Juarez Diaz, or from the estate of Denise Guth, for example. We have seen the council do this on other projects that have not been to the liking of certain members. Example, using the ammonia level of customer urine to prevent a CUP for microbrewery application. This is from the email. And I just wanted to say, the microbrewery application was tabled, not prevented, in order to have further questions addressed, and it had absolutely nothing to do with ammonia level of customer urine, or not been to the liking of certain members, but rather the amount of waste produced from the brewing process, which could increase the load and impact oxygenation capacity of our already problematic treatment facility. There were several other valid questions needing to be answered as well, hence tabled, as occurs often in items needing further information in order to make an informed decision. Okay, another item in this email. On the issue of rezoning under Arizona law, Council Member Moore may not need to recuse herself for a substantial or remote conflict of interest. However, with the appearance of one, a town statute, the council member in question will need to share details of that conflict if she decides to vote and participate. She rents from UVX substantially below market value a number of acres on the same parcel at $50 a year for her horses and vegetation, which she uses residential water rates. We have no objection over the deal, but the applicants in question are renting 1 acre of the same parcel at $1,000 a year, meaning she is paying $975 below the rate of other renters. This would not have been an issue had the town of Jerome and its representatives not reached out less than 24 hours after its e-session to the landowner in question to remind them they can object to our rezone to force a supermajority vote, especially after they filed a letter of support. Not erring on the side of caution and the town's active involvement in adjacent property owners could appear as trying to force undue influence, thus infringing on the rights of the applicant. That's from the email. I would also like to state that I have leased Verde Exploration property for almost 40 years and currently pay more than $50 per month, not year, for slightly over 1 acre, not a number of acres, adjoining the property that I own in the Gulch. And I can provide a copy of my lease agreement or canceled check if necessary. And I've been told by representatives of Verde Exploration that lease amounts vary depending upon type of property. And an example from a current real estate ad says, current owners lease an additional adjoining acre from Verde Exploration that increases the size of yard and provides a buffer zone from potential neighbors. Acre or possibly more acreage will be available to new owners for $150 per acre per year. So I pay substantially more than that. And I included the link to that real estate ad. As all AR zone residential users have residential water rates, whether or not they have horses, chickens, goats, dogs, gardens, bees, landscaping, I am unsure of the relevance here. It says for her horses and vegetation, residential water rates. And I am unclear as if this refers to me, but would like to state it was not me if someone did this. The part about this would not have been an issue had the town of Jerome and its representatives not reached out less than 24 hours after its e-session to the landowner in question to remind them that they can object to our rezone. Beyond, and this is from the email as well, beyond the rezoning, the discussion over the legality of Juarez Diaz should also consider potential conflict of interest. Again, why it is important to separate the issues, allowing Councilmember Moore to participate in item 9B and 9D. And that is actually 9G at this meeting. And again, due to the perceived appearance of conflict of interest, I am recusing myself from both items dealing with 300 Queen Street. And I am very sensitive to perception of appearance of conflict and would prefer not to have that appearance.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you very much.
And please include the email.
Of course. Thank you. So moving on, then what I'd like to do is on item 9F, then move to that. And I'm sorry, 9G. And go into executive session on that, since we have attorney Bill Sims with us for a brief period of time and then go into public session. So do we need a motion to go into that?
Yes.
Can I get a motion? No? Alex, anybody? Sage? No? No motion?
Sorry, I couldn't find the darn thing. I'll make the motion, Dr. Jack. Thank you.
Thank you,
Second,
Nan.
Motion
sorry.
to
I'm
go
a
into
little
executive
We have a
flabbergasted.
motion, we have a motion
Second,
and second. Thank you, Sage.
yeah,
So we have a
sorry, I'm
mo-
a little flabbergasted.
Okay, no, it's understandable. Okay, so let's, all those in favor going into executive session, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. It is now 7:11. We're moving into an executive session and we'll open it back up to the public shortly. Thank you very much.
Bear with me, please, while I move everyone into the waiting room.
Thank you.
A lot of people put in the waiting room.
I still see Mimi. Hey, Mimi.
I know, I'm getting there.
Okay, I know you are. Good. It's not always nice to see you. I think we're
Okay, I
here.
believe that's it, right?
Thank you very much. Yes, that was Jane, that was quite a presentation. Thank you. And it just, yeah, that email was, I can empathize with Sage here on that one. Okay, so moving right along, council.
Well, I think I apologize, for some reason, my camera doesn't work, so I apologize, you're just hearing me. For Jane, if you've recused yourself, I don't think you can participate in.
That's right, yes, I need to move her out, yes.
Oh, wait, no. And I think when we come out, we're gonna say, because she is here now, is to say, if she wishes to explain anything about her conflict, I think that's okay, but we can't talk anything substantively about the rezoning or the development agreement. Jane, do you wish to say anything more?
She's muted. I think she left on her own. She's muted in her.
Okay, so let's take
Okay,
that.
let's take her off, because I wanted to show that she was gone then, okay?
Yeah, good.
And then make sure you stop recording after you get her out.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
But I honestly don't mind the recording we just had, because if she was in, it was only to discuss the comment.
Admitting everybody.
Cool.
Okay,
Are we back in action?
yes, we are.
Okay, good. Let me then, if I can, turn this over to our vice mayor with our recommendation now to go forward, please.
You're
Mandy,
muted.
you
Sorry, I couldn't find my mute button. I apologize. I couldn't find my mute button.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. So on this particular agenda item, we, as a council, are going to hereby direct staff, including the town attorney, to continue moving forward with this process towards a second reading in order to allow time to negotiate a development agreement that includes at least identifying the rights of way, identifying ownership in the area, recommendation for subsidence remediation, stamped engineering plans, ensuring the town is protected from future claims, determining that abandoning the right of way doesn't prevent access from any parcel, and ensuring a financial security bond that the project will be completed as negotiated. Candace, Counselor, are we clear on that direction?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you very much, Mandy. So moving.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. Thank you, Counselor.
Okay, very good. And Counselor, we good? I think we're almost ready to let Bill go to his next project here.
And
Totally.
Dr. Mayor, I apologize to you and the constituents. This is the first time after 18, almost 16 months of COVID, I can't get my camera to work. That's the only reason I'm not on the camera. Usually I use the camera. I don't look that bad now that I have it.
Well,
Now that I have a
the
haircut.
haircut looks good, I know.
Well, thank you, Dr.
Right.
Mayor, members of council.
Thank you so very much for all the insight and guidance. Great. Moving right along to the next agenda item. We're moving to item 2, the financial reports, please.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Alex. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the financial reports, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. All right, Melanie, you're off the hook. Thank you for doing an
Yay.
outstanding job again.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thanks,
Thank
Melanie.
you.
All the very best. Staff and council reports, please. Item 3. Candace, you going to start us off on this?
I can just go over my report, sure.
Yes, please. Yes.
Let's see, we put a survey on the town website and Facebook page about transit services coming to Jerome. If you haven't filled that out, I encourage you to do that. We also put something in the newsletter about it. I sent our draft design review guidelines to members of P and Z and DRB and the Historical Society for their comments. I've gotten comments back so far from the Historical Society on that. The town code and zoning ordinance have been updated online with everything to date, and if you need a hard copy, I'm happy to provide that. I met with a grant writer for Yavapai College who might be able to assist us with grant writing efforts in the future.
Great.
He does charge for that, but he seemed like he's very capable of
He's
helping.
very good. He's very good.
Let's see, I sat in on meetings of P and Z and DRB. I kind of just lurked in the background to see if they needed any support, but they did just fine. And continued work with ADOT and Krishan on our drainage improvement project. There's a change order to that on this agenda, to the engineer's contract. Also, it's not on my report, but this morning I attended a pre-bid meeting with 7 contractors and NACOG for our CDBG project. That bid is out now and it's going to be closing on November 30th. We hope to start construction in January, but we had a good turnout, 7 contractors, and that's hopefully
That's great.
that we'll get several bids on that.
Excellent.
We have a water flows report. Everything is fine. And sales tax revenues, once again, the jump this month for September was not as huge as it has been, but I got October's numbers today. And where we had budgeted 85,600 for October, we brought in 140,000.
Wow.
So we're just continuing to astound with those sales tax numbers.
That's great.
That's my report.
Thank you. Any others that we need to hear? Any questions from council members? Hearing none, move along to the minutes.
You want to have a vote on the reports?
Yes, please.
I'm
That's
so,
what I was-
I'm so sorry, Dr. Jack. I just want to toss in one little tiny thing here while we're
Yes,
doing
please, of
council
course,
report.
Mandy. Yes,
On your behalf and Melanie on Candace's behalf did attend the mayor's, managers, supervisors, tribal leaders meeting last week. That was really fantastic. It's the first time that I've been to that meeting. And it's the first time that we've had it in person for a long time. The Verde Valley Senior Center was an amazing spot, and Mama Elaine down there did a great job hosting. And if anybody has any questions, man, that was awesome. There's so many new people to meet, and I really appreciated Melanie attending as well.
Thanks,
And
Mandy.
then the week before, Melanie and Rosa went to the Arizona Women in Government Conference, and the feedback that I've gotten from them is that it went really well and that they learned a lot, and that, you know, it really has been super helpful for their development. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Any other? None? So,
Motion to approve reports.
thank you. Is there a
Seconded.
second? Second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Staff and council reports are approved. Thank you so much. Moving zoning administrator, the Phantom zoning administrators reports and minutes. Anything, Candace, we need to know on that?
There's
No,
nothing to be done there.
nothing to be
Just
done.
for your
Okay, thank you.
information.
Let's go to the minutes now. We've got some for our closed session. We've got some for open and closed sessions in October. How do we want to go through this, Candace? How, just,
However you prefer, you can do
No.
them all at once. or
I'd
you
like
can
to do them all at once if we can. Are you okay with that, Sage? You are? Okay, good. So I'd like to have a motion to approve all of the minutes in one vote, please. Is there a motion?
Ben,
We have a motion from sorry, Sage. Is there a second, please?
Second,
Alex, thank you for the second. Is there any further discussion on that? Oh, Jane, I'm sorry, there you are. Good to see you back, kiddo. No further discussion. All those in favor of approving all the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
no. All the minutes, including closed sessions, have been approved. Petitions from the public. Item 6, what do we have, Candace?
I have one letter from David Soul. He asked to be read at this meeting. It was written with the idea at the time that he wrote it that the microbrewery was still up for consideration. I did advise him that the applicants had withdrawn their application and asked if he still wanted the letter read, and he thought it was important to have this read. So I'll read it as part of the petitions from the public. Dear Mayor and council members, as a former council member and water, sewer, and sanitation commissioner, I have some observations to share. Jerome's water system was built by the mining companies to supply their mines. It was built for industrial needs. They still own the springs our water comes from. They left us with an edict when they allowed us to use their water system. It's very simple and very clear. Water from this system is forbidden to be bottled and sold. That was in quotes. That was in effect in the 80s when I was a council person, and it's still in effect today. To ignore this instruction is to violate our water agreement with those who own our springs. Breweries make beer from water. Breweries bottle water when they make beer. To allow a brewery to bottle Jerome water to make beer is a direct violation of our edict. Allowing a brewery to bottle Jerome water jeopardizes our water supply by whoever owns our springs. Clearly, allowing a brewery to operate in Jerome is a threat to the well-being of Jerome's water system. It could be argued in court that Jerome has forfeited their right to water if the town allows bottling of water by a brewery. This is too big a risk to take. Let's stay between the lines given us and not violate the only commandment that we have been operating under for many, many years. Do not bottle and sell Jerome water. Sincerely, David Soul.
Thank you for reading that. May I react to that, Candace?
You can't really, you can't really discuss it.
No, then I won't discuss it. But anyway, moving right along then. To our presentation, Stan. You've been a patient young man. Our Yavapai County Broadband Initiative. What's the
Yes.
update? Now
Thank
that we've
you.
got all this stuff approved at the federal level, did you bring a cash box with you or?
Oh, I wish. I really do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I did have the opportunity to talk to Mayor and Candace just to kind of give them an update of what the county is doing in terms of broadband. And it really is an economy of scale that we'll be talking about. You're very familiar with the broadband, how it was brought up the mountain into your library. Your municipal buildings have since utilized that broadband, the fiber, and 13 of your local businesses have also received that fiber. So we use Jerome as the test bed or the case in point that this can be done, and we've gone through all the different hurdles necessary to make sure we can get this into all communities. So I did have a presentation. Candace, did you want to do that, or I could do it without either way?
Yes, I did allow you to share your screen if you want to do that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Darn
Do you want me to do it? I can do it. If I
Oh, do you
find it.
mind? Yeah, that'd be great.
I just have to take a minute to find it. I thought you were going to do
Oh,
it.
okay. Sorry. Should have.
Okay,
I'm locked out
bear
of it.
with me one moment, please.
Yeah, it's
Thanks,
okay.
Candace.
Thanks, Stan.
Amongst yourselves.
I don't know if there are any questions in the meantime. I don't see any hands.
Yeah, I could kind of give you where we came from before we bring this up, because I usually do this in the intro. but I'm Stan Goligoski. I am the executive director for the Yavapai County School Superintendent's Office. And many people ask, why is a schools person doing this job? Well, as you know, the schools and libraries received federal funding from the FCC about 5 years ago in order to run fiber out to our very remote locations and also to even our urban locations throughout the county. What we did is we put a request for bid together for all the internet service providers to come to us with a proposal of how they would accomplish this. And what we realized from the proposals is by doing this economy of scale, there was a drastic price reduction in the service. And for our schools and libraries, it was an 87% on average price reduction across the board. So now we're getting less expensive internet, but a lot higher speed and a better capability because we brought it in for one service provider in order to do this, and then they get a return on their investment. So that is the whole plan that we're doing. But this is going to be for every resident and every business in Yavapai County, and in partnership with the 9 municipalities that also received the American Relief Plan Act funding. And so that's the premise of how this all started, and that's kind of the plan moving forward. Candace, were you able to find that at all?
I had to.
Great. Thank
see
you.
if it's up yet here. Hold on. Okay, I think I can do this now. All right,
Thanks, Candace.
let's see. Just tell me, Stan, when you want me to switch screens, okay?
Absolutely. Yep.
Can you
Great.
see that?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, great. You could go to the second slide, please, Candace. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is talk about the current broadband situation in the county, what the middle mile versus the final mile is. There are terms that get thrown around a lot, so I wanted to define that for everybody. How we're going to accomplish this project, the timeline in which we're going to accomplish it, and then just go over some guidance that I received from our county board of supervisors and talking to all of you. So the next slide, please. If you were to look at the Federal Communications Commission website, they kind of paint a pretty good picture as far as the number of providers that are available throughout the country. And really what this depicts is there are a number of providers out there, but a majority of them, especially in rural Arizona, are all satellites. So there is a latency issue. There are issues, you don't really have the speeds, and it's very costly for the consumer. So if you go to the next slide, though, what this really shows is that, oh yeah, is in the county, it's a little more bleak. And there's really only 3% of the total of all residents of the Yavapai County that receives the speeds, which is 100 megabits up and 25 megabits down at a minimum for broadband. So, and there's only one provider that really provides a majority of that speed. And in our case in Yavapai County, that has been Sparklight. So if you were to look at the next slide, it really depicts why it is a national problem. Because if you really look at the number of carriers, you look at the speeds that everybody needs in order to do like meetings like this effectively, it's a national problem. And that's why there's national funding that's getting thrown towards this. And we want to capitalize on that. So next slide, please. So I'm going to go over the plan that we did 5 years ago, and this depicts all these little points on the map are the 74 locations, the schools and libraries throughout the county that we ran fiber to. This is the middle mile. This is your ring, if you will. Now, what we want to do with the American Relief Plan Act funding is to finalize that, to complete the final mile, to bring high-speed broadband to all the residences and the homes and businesses throughout the county. When we did our project, we were only awarded but it was $1.7 million. When we did the RFP, the carrier, in this case Sparklight, they kicked in another $1.3 million to accomplish the job, because they not only saw value in that, getting the lines in for all these locations, because they're eventually gonna have more customers to these very remote locations that they don't normally have. And also they were under a contract to do so. So by kicking in that money, they saved $1.7 million to get out to all these locations. So the return on investment occurred a lot faster. There are a few locations on this map that was a hybrid. So we used kind of satellite to link fiber, but we still got to those locations. Even after the 5 years, there's other methods that we can use in those locations that are direct fiber. So things are evolving very, very fast. Next slide, please. Again, this is the middle mile. So I kind of got a little ahead of myself. Next slide. If we were to break this down, this is just a schematic that shows how this occurs. And if you look in the center of the picture, it says schools and libraries. That's also known as a local convergence point. So that's where we're at right now. What we did, like up in Jerome, was the library was a local convergence point, and then from that convergence point, the final mile went to your municipal buildings, went to your 13 businesses. So now what we'll do is get at the capability out to all residences, and award an ISP. The due date on that from our RFP that the county has published, the due date is December 2nd. So we'll know what all the plans look like. And then an RFP committee will decide on the vendor that will be connecting all this final mile to all these locations. And that's to over 120,000 housing units and over 6,000 employer establishments. So next slide, please. What this slide depicts is the leverage that we're using in order to accomplish this. So the red circles that you see are very small remote locations. We need the places that are depicted in green just as much as you might need, say, the $20 million to accomplish this build. And the $20 million is what the County Board of Supervisors has already committed for this broadband initiative. So that's about 30 or 43% of their total ARPA money that they received just for broadband. So in order to do this is an 18-month process, right? So we see that come January, that 18-month timeline will start. And so we don't want to omit all the rural locations and an ISP just to go to the very more populated locations. We want this to be kind of a simultaneous occurrence throughout the county within 18 months. We're not going to dictate each town how they do it, but it has to be done in 18 months. So that is pretty much the overall plan there. And I see there's a question from Alex there that popped up. Councilman
Alex,
Barber.
question?
I will wait till the end of your presentation when it says questions, because I have a few. I just wanted to get my hand up.
Thanks, Alex.
Excellent. All right, thank you. Next slide then, please. So this is showing the municipalities that received separate ARPA funding. So again, the county received $43 million of ARPA funding. They're committing 43% of that $43 million. For Jerome, that well, for all the municipalities, the Board of Supervisors has directed us to request the 20% of what you received in ARPA funds in order to participate. So again, for this leverage piece. So 20% to the town of Jerome is $22,000 out of the $110,000 that you received out of ARPA. And again, and we use this as ARPA was, there was some sort of equation at the federal level that dictated how much money each municipality received and each county received. Excuse me. So we said 20% of that. It's not anywhere half of your ARPA funds. We know ARPA can only be used for infrastructure related items. So that's why we said it's ARPA. You could use different funds. Some other towns are deciding to use other funds that are less restrictive than what ARPA is, but that's their choice. But this is the dollar figure in order to participate. Next slide, please. And so this is really my final slide, but this is the guidance that I received from the Board of Supervisors. That we were to publish an RFP. We're in the middle of that process. Again, December 2nd is when all the plans will be in. And now I'm going out to all of the different incorporated and unincorporated locations throughout the county and asking you to support the Final Mile Broadband Initiative. And so we've done this in phases, again, to talk to the staff in order to get on your council, just to make you aware, we're not asking for any decision at all tonight. We will be coming to your town on a follow-up board meeting if this is something that you would like to pursue with an agreement, and all the details will be in that agreement for you to review and then sign on for, and then the commitment would be the $22,000. A piece of that that I want to make clear is we wouldn't touch your funding. Your commitment would be $22,000. You would have reporting procedures through ARPA. It would just be a lot more, I just think it would get a lot more complicated. We all feel it would be more complicated if we accept your funds and then we pay, but you have reporting procedures. We just don't want any money to exchange hands. You would just pay the provider on an agreed upon on amount. And then we would also be the project lead, help you with those reports, because we have to give those reports as well. We would give the narratives, basically feed you all the information that you need for those reports, because we're doing it ourselves. And then we will also come back to you and give you updates at least quarterly, because that's what our County Board of Supervisors has requested, as to how everything is occurring throughout the project in those 18 months. So that's pretty much our presentation, and I'm open for any questions.
I'll get Alex questions in a second, but I just want to personally say, Stan, thank you so very much. As a town, we couldn't be more proud having you guys going forward with this, and we're all really excited about where this is going, but thank you so very much. Alex, please.
Okay, so first thing is we talk about a type 1 single fiber feed. And I tried to look that up and I couldn't get to the bottom of that. I do know that our Sparklight comes up on fiber optic through our APS power poles and goes up to Town Hall. So is that fiber, that type 1 single fiber feed, big enough to fill the whole town, or do additional cables need to go up on these poles to make all these connections?
Yeah, so there will be, you'll have to connect through either conduit, through poles, or there are what's called licensed fixed wireless in some cases in the more difficult terrain. We believe that the projects that are coming forward, it's going to be 60% fiber that's going to be run, and there is to answer your first question, the pipe is large enough. Sparklight built a bigger pipe in anticipation for every location, to increase. So they were very smart about that. They were in the ground anyway. They were on poles anyway. That's what they needed to do. The difference with the wireless piece, and I mentioned that it's licensed, is now there is a frequency that's been opened up that an ISP has to request, that is not like the rest of your wireless, where everything else is on a wireless band. The US Navy had it for 30 years. They weren't using it. They released it to the public, but again, they have to request it for licensure. And so that none of it bleeds over each other. And it's been proven to be very, very fast, can deliver up to a gig per location. And ideally, that's where we're at. We want to have a bigger capacity than even the minimum requirements. And these ISPs are saying that is the new norm. And that's delivering a substantial amount of speed to locations. And they're doing it throughout the country.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, so the fiber we like, the wireless, we don't really in our little historic town have room for any small cell sites here.
Yeah.
We really like the fiber optic. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, who knows if it's you or Candace, that the 13 businesses, do they branch off of, the way I look at it, the fiber optic comes up and it goes to town hall. So that would be the place that it's branching off into. I would assume the 13 businesses are on our main street. Can anyone clarify any of that?
Yeah, I can. That's exactly what happened. It's, either it branched up prior to getting up to town hall because it was run up the line, because there's different points they can transfer it from. And I know that your main street is where those 13 businesses have pulled from it. And it is that direct fiber line. Type 1 only means that it is specifically Sparklight that owns it. They don't lease it from anyone else, just so you're aware of that. And the wireless, this new wireless is not a cell tower. It's brought up on like a flagpole. That's how little it is. And there's repeaters that as long as there's a line of sight, it can expand out to a 12-mile radius.
Wow.
So that would almost cover the whole town, honestly,
Wow.
just on one of those poles, like a flagpole.
Fabulous. Alex, any
I
more?
don't think I have any further questions at this time. Thank you.
Those were good. Thanks so much, Alex.
Great
I don't
question.
see any other hands up. Nope. Stan, it looks like you're off the hook. did
Oh,
good.
I see Jane.
Wait.
It's more, yeah.
Oh, does Jane have a hand up? I don't see Jane.
Yes, I wasn't fast enough to get my virtual hand up.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Go right ahead, Jane.
So for instance, the fiber runs up 89A. Could it be underground down the Gulch Road, for instance? And cable run off of the underground line?
Yeah,
to houses?
they're gonna put it underground as much as they can. That's a lot better protected. If there's conduit that's already there through another means, through electrical means or whatever it might be, that's where they'll feed it through. So that's the ideal situation.
You said
Again,
if so,
Correct.
if there is not, then they would not.
either they do it through a fixed wireless or they would do it over a telephone line. A lot of fiber has already been run throughout the state, like on APS poles. They've been running it for about 20 years. So it would just be on poles like that. They wouldn't, we know we ran up new poles. APS actually leveraged this to get new poles to run it up the mountain. If you notice that, and that was because of this fiber initiative, which cost them a little bit more money. But so they would use existing poles before they put up any new ones, honestly.
So would neighborhoods have a choice of whether it was wired or wireless?
So fiber is the king of everything that we understand from this. So even if it is a fixed wireless that starts out, in order to get it under the timeline, what I've been told from ISPs is they will always continue to engineer where it's going to be fiber, that fixed fiber, because that's what they want. And if you know in a business plan, what we're seeing with this is a business plan, they're going to, as they start getting money from consumers, well, more money comes into that ISP, that service provider, in order to them to continue to establish the sites better for the customer. Does that help answer your question?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
There may
Yeah.
be locations where fixed wireless is the only way you're going to get it. But
And will
again,
we be notified ahead of time?
yes, we'll know in the plan. We absolutely,
Okay.
we will know from that provider by their plan of which locations they're proposing as fixed wireless and versus fiber.
Okay, and the other thing, as far as our contribution, that wouldn't come up until next budget year, or is that something we'd have to commit to in this budget year?
Yeah, we would want a commitment only so the service provider knows how to plan and get the fiber out. We don't want you omitted because you carry over into the next fiscal year. So ideally, it would be this fiscal year still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, I see
Thank
another
you.
hand. Is that, thank you. Thanks, Jane. Alex, you have another question or comment?
I do. Every house or business here in Jerome I know has an APS line that feeds off, and we already have that visual clutter. The fiber optic is the best way to go rather than the wireless. So I don't see why it would be a problem to not just run it completely out on the power poles. So my other question about the funding, you had talked about it just a little bit, is we would pay the provider, and you spoke of Sparklight. So I just wanted a little clarification on the $22,000 of the Rescue Plan Act, the American Rescue Plan Act. If you were talking about that we would pay that directly to Sparklight when this whole RFP, I think is what it was called, started.
Yeah, I don't want to confuse the two. Sparklight is the method by which we did our last plan. This plan may be a total different service provider beyond Sparklight. So that's why we put it request for proposal. We know Sparklight is intending to bid, but we have a number of other people or businesses that are bidding. So the committee will decide on who that will be. Now, the provider will have to lease off of these lines. So, and that's what happens even in our own projects. Like Sparklight leases from Lumen, which is CenturyLink, and they do it all the time. So they depend on each other. So knowing that the middle mile is built, that Sparklight has built it, no matter who has decided, that line will have to be pulled off of, no matter who the provider is. And then the town would pay that provider that's awarded through this particular RFP.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks for the
Alex.
question.
Thanks again, Stan. I think we need to move along a little bit here. So thank you, Stan. Keep up the great work. We're in, and thank you.
Have a
Yeah.
great night.
Sage has her hand up.
So,
Mr.
oh,
Mayor.
sorry, Sage. I didn't see that.
I just, before we go into a public hearing that's going to be continued, can we possibly move up the tour business thing so that Alan Muma can get out of here?
The tour business.
9C.
9C, okay. Not a problem at all. We can do that. Thanks, Stan. No other questions. Moving right
you
along
all.
to, we'll take that recommendation and move
Thank you,
to,
Stan.
excuse me? Someone say no? Okay, we'll move to
I just said
9C.
thank you. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Stan.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along to 9C, tour businesses. We'll discuss issues related to tour businesses in Jerome. Tourists, do we have tourists? And possible amendments to the town code in that regard. So, Chief, are you here? I don't see you.
He's,
I am here.
Oh, there you are. Sorry, Alan. So Candace, are we going to begin with some discussion on this from the police chief?
I would think that, let's turn it over to Alan. I will say that we did send letters to the tour companies advising them that they need to let us know what their current routes are and who their current drivers are. And we did get responses. And Alan, take it away.
Alan, you're on.
Okay, well, this was brought up a couple months ago due to some complaints we had. And when I looked into the complaints, I found that our ordinance required that the tour companies do some things. And when I looked into that, I realized that they hadn't done what they're supposed to. One of those things being all tour drivers have to have their driver's licenses on file with the city so we can ID them. And then there was some indication that some routes had been changed from the approved routes that were initially approved by council. So we I talked to Candace and we had letters drafted up. They came out from Candace to the tour companies to advise them that they needed to operate on their approved routes and they needed to provide the required identification for the drivers. As far as I know, at this point, that's been done. So going forward, the only thing I had was technically they can't do any route that's not approved by the town. I know there's walking tours, there's driving tours. So possibly an amendment to the code is in order to make sure that anytime a change is done to these, that it is put before council for approval, because what's happening is we are having some intrusions into residential areas or fringe residential areas, and that should be up to the council to approve those or not approve those. So that's the extent of what's going on with the tour company, this agenda item.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes,
Aaron Bailey is online and he had wanted to address this during this time, if you still want to do that, Aaron.
no,
Yes.
please go right ahead, Aaron.
So yeah, it became pretty clear that some people had some issues with the tour companies. I wrote an email to some of the town council members and to Chief Muma, basically just stating, you know, at least on my end, I've done what I can to try to accommodate locals. As I mentioned, there's a Facebook page called I Love Jerome. You know, some people have made their complaints on there. It originally started from one of the members who worked for Tours of Jerome, who was giving Carol Antigue an issue. But at any rate, I saw some of their comments. You know, people had mentioned some of the flashlights, which I'm not going to deny. Sure, you know, I bought some flashlights. They were pretty bright, you know, and so people mentioned that, which I have no problem, trying to accommodate people. So I changed the lights to some, dim lanterns so that way they can't blind people. In addition, I had tours going out at 11 p.m. I didn't want to cause any conflict with any of the locals, so I actually cut out the 11 p.m. option. So just trying to accommodate the locals, doing what I can. Now, the only thing in regards to, I don't know if it's the other tour companies that have changed their routes. My routes are still the same. The only thing that has changed is some of the routes I do use a van now, and we go down to the Audrey head frame on one of the tours. And the other one, we go down to the high school because we have a contract with Verde Exploration. So in that being changed, it's not affecting any of the locals in any way. It's still, Audrey head frame is a public place and the high school is, exclusive for us to the contract. The only thing that I did do sometimes is when I went up County Road, which I mentioned in my email, Roberto, who lives up on County Road, is the one who welcomes us to go up to his driveway and utilize the driveway. Now, sometimes I would go up to the top of County Road to the gate at the mine there, but that's only during our history tours. And that's, the history tours, we probably only do that maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And it's with older clientele, senior citizens for the most part. So when I hear people saying that, we're going into local residents or local neighborhoods, we're not going down Magnolia or anything like that. We're only on County Road and we only go to the top. And once again, it's only during daytime, during history tours, which I said is probably 2 or 3 times a week. And it's with senior citizens. So we're not making noise by any means with that change. Now, I did put that request in to have that tour route change to see if that would be approved. I'm not currently going to the top of County Road until that gets overlooked by you guys, but just to shed some light, like I said, some people saying that, I don't know if they're referring to us or somebody else, but we're not going into neighborhoods by any means. So I don't know if you guys have any light to shed on that, if there is complaints regarding my tour company, but I can tell you that we're not going into anybody's, private neighborhoods or private property for that matter.
Thank you, Aaron. And thank you for the adjustments you have made. Thank you. They are appreciated. I see Mandy has her hand up. Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mayor. And I am, I'm kind of going back in history a little bit with this, and maybe Alan can give us a better idea of it. But it was my understanding that along with the particular issues that have already been mentioned, that there has been some there's been some concerns about trespassing on private property where it, could be dangerous, really, is the problem. And I just wanted to, I guess, maybe ask Alan if that type of behavior has stopped since the letters went out and the conversations have been had.
I haven't had any additional complaints since the letters went out. So I guess I could say yes. I'm unaware of any significant problems outside of one tour business that had an individual that was working for him that did some things that were inappropriate, and he was criminally charged. So, that matter was taken care of by us, and they were criminally charged in that. So that was the worst offense out of anything. We have had complaints in the Verde X area down by the cemetery and things like that, but they generally encompass people that are doing their own tours, i.e. they're just down there getting into things, and we address them at the time and just ask them to leave because Verde X doesn't give them permission to be there. So some of the tour companies have a contract with Verde X, but outside of that, we keep people off that property. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, I just was curious if there had been formal complaints regarding trespassing since the letters
you,
went out.
Chief.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments? Oh, I see Jane. Yes, your hand. Sorry, Jane.
Me again.
Okay.
Our town code prevents commercial travel in residential areas unless it's to pick up people, deliver things, that type of thing. So tours are limited from being in residential neighborhoods. So I don't think just because, I don't know, somebody that has private property in a residential neighborhood and invites the tours up there, I'm not sure about that. I think that should be reconsidered. I'm also wondering if there needs to be something about not operating after a certain hour of night. And I'm glad to hear that the bright lights and noise is addressed, because there was a letter talking about being woken up late at night with loud noise and bright lights. And also, we had been told when we had the horse and buggy tour by the then town attorney that we could, due to congestion on the streets, limit the amount of tour companies that are operating on our public streets. So I just wonder if we want to consider any of those.
I'm curious
Good
about your
call.
question, Jane. Thank you, Jane, about the neighborhood and the private street and the residents. Chief Moma, I mean, I'm curious about that. So what Jane was commenting on was that even though a citizen at the top of the hill gives permission for the tours to get up there, going through that residential neighborhood to get there may be a no-no. Is that correct?
That would be my understanding. It would probably be best to just check with our town attorney to make sure. But I don't think somebody at the end of a block can give somebody permission to travel all the way through the neighborhood just to get to their residence for a commercial operation. I do believe the city can restrict that. Hours of operation probably might be considered for you as well, because some of this stuff is happening at night when people are asleep. And it may just be that you tighten up restrictions at night so that people aren't affected where they live. And then Jane's I'm sorry, Jane, I just forgot that last thing you brought up. It was a good idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow,
I forgot.
that's my brain today.
Well, you
Sorry
and
about
Jane
that.
you and Jane are drinking the same water.
Well, we all are.
Yeah, there you go.
I think the last thing Jane said was to limit the amount of
Oh,
tour
yes.
companies. Someone said that. How many tour
Yes.
companies do we have going right now? I think to put a limit on what we already have might be a good idea, so we don't have more and more and more and more. So I don't think that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I think
That's
everything-
it.
all three of those are great ideas.
Yes, they are. So what do I see? Cameron, you have your hand up, and let me get to Candace, and we'll get to you, Karen.
Well, let Cameron go first.
Cameron, please.
Oh, I was going to let Mac from Crested Construction talk because he's
Yeah.
been.
That's what I
on
was gonna
that.
do, yeah.
He, Candace, and
Yeah.
I both working at the same time. I will hand it up.
Thank you. I can't get my hand up. I don't know where that thing's at. So there's people on the property right now on the Queen's neighbor. So I mean, nobody's doing anything about it. I have construction sites. I have signs up. What's going to happen when somebody gets hurt? Then I'm going to get sued, and then the town's going to get sued because I'm not going to be liable for it because the town has refused to do anything about it. So
Thank you.
I don't know how to try and get this for everybody to try and do something about this, but nothing's happening, and it's been an issue for a long time.
Well, no, Cameron, great points. Thank you. So I think, okay, so as far as action, looking at the questions that Jane raised, I think they're all valid, and certainly Chief Moment supports that too. How many of these tours do we allow in town? Are they going through the neighborhoods and some of these other issues? So Candace, we need to come up with a directive to see how do we manage this issue. Candace, please.
How about if on the next meeting, regular meeting agenda, we have an item again about tour businesses with suggested changes to the code written out, and also to review all of the current routes for all the tour companies.
Correct. And then maybe we, based on that, we can put something in force effective January, February, something like that. Yes. I think that's a good strategy. And Alex,
we heard
I see a
Cameron
thumbs up
has his
over there
hand
with
up.
Alex. Good.
Cameron and Jane have their hands up,
And Mandy?
and Mandy, yeah, lots of hands.
So just to add to
Yeah,
things,
okay, Cameron.
just to add to things to discuss, Mac and I happened to be on site when it happened. So we have an issue with turnarounds. So a lot of these vans, they need to basically turn around on Queen or any of the other routes they're on. And this particular van reversed into the Guth property and couldn't get out. And so
Wow.
ended up digging up most of the Guth property or the road leading to it. And so and I think they, there was construction folks on site and they kind of felt as if they were trespassing. So they put their foot down trying to get out, and it caused a worse issue. So I think turnarounds is really important because they may go down a street, but if they back into somebody's property that is not tarmacked, then they end up messing that up.
Thank you, Cameron. I think, and I'll get to Mandy and Jane. I think, yes, Candace, we need to put something together for our next meeting. We need to have some proposal for rules, what to do. Aaron, I'm sorry, but You know, I appreciate your efforts to go forward in a positive way. We want to do that too, but I think the key is the town has to be responsive and set up some criteria that we all are comfortable with, that address all these issues.
I'm not against that at all. I totally concur
Okay,
with
great.
that.
No, I think I really appreciate you're doing so well, trying to accommodate with the rules and everything.
You do.
We got Mandy and then we'll get Jane, I believe.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. So this isn't the first time that I've heard from members of the public about safety and trespassing issues on Queen Street by tour companies. And I don't know which tour companies because I'm not there. But it is certainly a major concern for me from a safety standpoint, particularly. And I'm maybe wondering if, in addition to your suggestions, Dr. Jack, we could work with town crew or PD or whoever to see if there is a way to eliminate those safety concerns when people end up on private property, because it happens like multiple times a day is what I'm understanding from varying people.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of why I had asked the trespassing question. And I'm worried about it. And that's not a lit area, and that's not, horrifically a safe area. And I know that like it's a great space to go walk down and see the sliding jail and the view and that kind of thing. I just want to make sure that we're doing things so that the town is not liable, the property owners are not liable, the contractor is not liable, and that people are not getting hurt.
Yep, and I think this is something that has been overlooked for a long time, and I think I'm happy to see all of us decided we want to take some action in this direction. It is important.
I
Honorable
understand
Mayor.
that we're going to put it on the next
It'll be on the
meeting,
next
but I
meeting,
think that we need
yes.
to at least start some of that conversation between property owners who have had concerns and town, especially with Alan, like sooner. I think that we need to
Yes.
have some ideas for
Absolutely.
solutions before the next meeting.
Absolutely, yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'm
Chief?
sorry, I don't have a hand button here. I
No,
can't
it's all
see.
right.
So
It's good. I can,
I just want to make something very, very clear. Oftentimes in this town, these all kinds of complaints never get to the right place. So I'll post it on Facebook on our page again, but they need to call us if there's an issue. There
absolutely.
have not been that many issues when we've been called. So, that's got to be clear. If not, it just becomes one of those things of who complained. I can say a whole bunch of people complain, but if they call us, we document it. We document who complained and what was done about it. And I really don't have that many complaints. So they may be, I'm not saying they're not complaining, but they need to get a hold of us so that this stuff can be documented as well.
Excellent. Thank
I
you. Chief.
100% agree, Alan. Thank you for pointing that out.
Absolutely. I think I'm seeing head shaking. Everyone agrees. Thank you. Jane, did you have a question or comment? Please?
Basically, I'm agreeing with Mandy that something needs to be done prior to the next meeting
Yes.
and document. And we've had letters, I think individual council members have received letters that I think have been shared from
Should we have a
particular
special
property
meeting?
owners, but
We could have a
yes,
special
document
meeting.
when these things happen and who it is doing it so that we know.
I have no problem if we want to have a special meeting for us to
That's
get
it.
together. Thank you, to discuss this, Candace, and see if we can get some substance in place and prior to the next meeting. And I'd like to get Aaron's input too, from his perspective as a business owner in this regard that wants to play by the rules. So that's the good news. So, okay, that sounds great. Any other discussion on this before we move on? Thank you all. Very well done. Moving on to the next item, we go back. I think
8A.
8A I'm looking at. Second reading and possible adoption ordinance 475 of the town council. This is dealing, amending the Jerome Town Code by the addition of a new section 10-3 thereof entitled Special Events. Do we want to have a second reading? What do we want to do with this, council members? What was that? Pay the ransom.
I'll just review it quickly. This is the one we've been working on for some time, and the changes, we've made several changes, and this is the final version of it. And we've had the first reading, so it now just needs to be adopted. The only thing that changed from the first reading was we removed something about, we changed the thing that said they had to park at the 300 level, because that was going to be difficult to deal with. But we did replace it with regardless of exemption status for any event having more than 75 attendees, attendees are encouraged to park at the 300 level parking area or arrange to be shuttled in. So it's in there for them to see, but
So as a second reading, oh, yes, Jane. if you-
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 475.
Perfect. Thank
Seconded.
you. And then we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries for ordinance 475. Thank you. The
Jack,
next one,
excuse me,
excuse me?
Jack, I'm sorry, I
Yes.
didn't get, who seconded that, please?
I think it was Sage.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rosa. Item 8B, I think we're going to table. I'd like to recommend that we table that because of changes we're becoming aware of, that we need to get some more documentation on the requirements for the residency for positions for town clerk and town manager. There's still some unclarity that has emerged in the last few days that we're still not certain about. So I'm proposing that we table this to our next meeting till we get the clarification, please, if people are okay with that. Thank you. Moving on then to 9A.
9A.
9A, I've heard of that one, Jane. The public hearing, and this is again for 9A, you know, we're continuing this discussion. No one is trying to rush something through, people. I mean, we're learning a lot as we go forward with this discussion. Jane, you've been kind enough to sort of lead the discussion on this. Candace, at 6:28, I guess, we're just going to continue to move this forward, I think. Not really. The action today, yes, Candace, please.
yes, I did there is a resolution here that would adopt new rates for commercial businesses, maintain the existing rates for residential businesses. And then the original resolution anticipated the institution of a line maintenance charge, but that is getting pretty complicated and I need to really do a little more work on that. So my suggestion, if you're going to move forward with this resolution tonight, is to change item 3 to say a line maintenance charge will be adopted at a later date and the public hearing scheduled for today is continued until whatever date you choose. That doesn't mean you have to put off the rest of the action and the resolution. It just has to do with the line maintenance charge, because that's what remains to be figured out.
Cool. I'm very comfortable with that. Do we need a motion to approve that? Please, Jane?
Don't you need to open the public hearing?
Yes,
Or-
but it's still
Yeah.
open,
It's
but
still
Okay.
open. It's still, that's
Okay,
what
so you
we're
don't
doing. We're
need to
just,
announce that
yes.
we're doing that. Okay,
open the
that's all.
discussion to the public for sure.
yes. Correct. So we do need a motion, Candace? to move
You do
forward?
need a motion, but you might want to hear if any of the public has anything to say
Any
first.
comment about that? Yes, just because of the timeline that we need to have things in place by the end of the year, calendar year, as regards to that. So that's
And
why.
we do have, Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt. We do have Dan Jackson here with us, who's been sitting here patiently
Hey,
since
Dan.
7 o'clock. In case anybody has any questions or anything like that. I mean, he's here to answer questions.
What happened to the Dallas Cowboys? That's what I want to know.
Okay,
I can't answer that one.
Okay. Yeah, Jane, because he's in Texas, that's why.
I'll
Go ahead,
I'll
Jane.
ask. So is there anything else in here that we need to adjust? Because we did say we were going to monitor this for a year to see how it was working out.
Correct.
That if we found we needed to change something in that year time frame, that it would be easy enough for us to change. You know, other than adding the possible line maintenance charge at some point. Is there some way it should be modified to say that if there needs to be any other adjustments in that year's time, that we can do that easily? Do
Well,
you get
council
what I'm
has the
saying?
ability- Council has the ability to go in and change a ordinance or rate plan anytime they want. I mean, you can change
Okay.
it next month if you wanted to. But so I think that's sort of kind of understood when you do a rate plan, that you always have the ability to go back and readdress it anytime you want.
Okay, that's what I wanted clarified. Thank you.
Thank you. So what action do we need? Do we need to vote on this, Candace?
Yes, if you want to do this, you would adopt the resolution, and what that would do is change commercial rates as of January 1st and keep residential rates the same and continue the public hearing regarding the line maintenance charge until whatever date you said, either December or January.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve that?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 628 with the change to item 3 to read a line maintenance charge will be adopted at a later date, and the public hearing schedule for today is continued until what date? Next month?
Whatever you decide, maybe January, because it's pretty
January.
Yeah,
complicated.
January
I want
1st,
the
yeah.
chance to work with council on this, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Good.
I would
Thanks so
put
much, Sage.
January 2022 in there.
There you go. Thank you, Sage. Thank you very much. Is there a second, please? See, Alex?
I'll second.
Thank
Second.
you, Alex. Any other further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Thanks, Sage. Thank you, Candace. Thank you very much, Jane. And as we move forward with that, I think we're moving to item 9F. Is that correct? Or
Mr.
No,
Mayor?
we need 9E.
9D, and can we have a restroom break?
In celebration of talking about restrooms, that's a really good idea. So motivated, Sage. I love it. Keep us on the point. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break.
Thank you,
It's
everybody.
Now, 8:41. Is 10 minutes okay? 10-minute break, please.
Okay, I'm stopping.
Dr. Mayor, everybody, thank you very much. I'm going to be signing off now since.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for
thank you,
hanging
Dan.
in there.
Dan.
Appreciate it always. You're a great resource. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm pausing the recording while we take a break.
Cool. Thank you. And I'd like to just to clarify things with item 8C to make sure there's no misunderstanding. The first reading of ordinance 477, an ordinance of the town council of the town of Jerome, Yavapai County, Arizona, approving an amendment to the zoning map. We've completed our first reading of that ordinance 477. Moving right along to item 9D, public restrooms and porta-johns. I see we have the preliminary plans for the permanent public restroom. And they look pretty good to me. I don't know what other comments there might be from my colleagues, thoughts, recommendations. Alex, this is your pet project, so.
I like these plans. The only question I have is the trash. The big dumpsters, those are highly used by the restaurants right there, where there's no mention of where these dumpsters are gonna go.
Good question, good point.
And
Okay,
then
so-
I also wanted to ask another question. Our artist co-op is open again and has a public restroom, correct, down there? Because we really don't have a lot of restrooms down at the bottom. Candace, is our artist co-op open
Yes, it is.
again?
And the
And,
pu- Yes, the public restroom is now open again. Yes.
okay, so do you know how much high usage our porta johns are getting used down there? Or if, because
I-
it's closer?
I don't know that, I'm sorry, but
Okay.
basically, we're back to where we were before we put the porta johns in terms of availability of public restrooms, I believe. So, and as I said, we've spent $6,800 so far this fiscal year for the porta johns. And we budgeted 15,000 and that would cover us through March. Alan has indicated that he feels that the project could be complete by, I think he said April or May. Alan, can you chime in here?
Yes, what we needed to do was get some conceptual drawings just to show these are not the Taj Mahal. To show a location and a very basic 2 unisex restrooms placed that would take up 2 parking stalls there. The trash cans would be moved just down just a little bit, essentially 2 parking spaces down. So the restrooms would butt up against that little kind of old retaining wall that's there.
Yeah.
And then there would be a parking space that would be a handicapped accessible for the restrooms only, so you can't park there permanently, which gets us away from having to do a ramp up to the sidewalk for ADA compliance. So they'd be fully ADA compliant. Again, very simple construction. Harry Stewart, I spoke to him. Both Marty, Rusty, and I reviewed the site for sewer, water, and electricity, which we can get to this location at a minimal cost. We don't have to set power poles, which can cost thousands of dollars. We can pull power from the lower park. Sewer is in that area and water is in that area. So all the utilities are there. And again, we're looking at, just so you know, possibility of either poured concrete walls or block walls, but a very plain, just the fixtures that are needed in the restroom. A very plain 2-stall public restroom.
Excellent.
And I can't do any more budgeting or for the project until I get the final. Again, if all of a sudden the roof design changed or something like that, then it would change the cost estimates. But I reviewed the proposed structure and believe that we can do it for under $50,000. That was budgeted at this point.
Great. Thank you so much, Alan. That's great. And no, the plans look good. I think it's exactly will meet the need that we're looking for there. So thank you. Any other questions to discuss? I see is your hand up there, Mandy?
Yeah, Mandy.
My hand is up. Thank you, Dr. Mayor. I'm sure we've had all this conversation in the past, and everybody knows how much I think everybody in town is super excited about permanent public restrooms in the middle of the town. It's going to be a really great idea, but I do have a question about it. And we've talked about this before, and I don't think that we ever figured it out yet. We've talked about how we could use town staff to help, design and the actual labor portion of it, and then where we would have to sub out for licensed electrician or plumber or whatever. But I asked this and I don't remember if we got an answer. And so I apologize if we did, but it's my understanding that we need a licensed commercial contractor to oversee from by the rules. We have to have that. And I'm concerned.
I don't know if we do.
Alan, do you know?
I would have to check. We would use licensed contractors on the portions that we couldn't do. We're limited to, I believe it's like $27,000 worth of work. That's labor related. That's excluding materials. And so this would be in that realm. But again, I foresee the electrical as a licensed contractor, the block work as a licensed contractor. And again, our building inspectors inspecting the project as it goes. We would have a set of drawings that would be acceptable to him. So I can check into that tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
See,
it's just my general understanding of registrar of contractor rules that any project over $1,000, no matter who's doing the project, unless like you're doing something for yourself on your personal private property, requires a registered licensed commercial contractor for it. So if we could get that information, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I see Jane has her hand up.
I'm just assuming this is going to go through the design review board and planning and zoning as well. Correct.
Definitely design review if it needs. I don't know if it needs to go to P&Z, but we'll find out. It'll go wherever it needs to go.
Thank you.
We'll play by the rules.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Alan. This is great. I'm just glad we're moving forward with this.
Mayor?
That's excellent.
Mayor?
Yes, please,
Can
Candace.
I get some direction as to how much longer you want the Porta Johns to remain in place?
No
Thank
later
you.
than March.
I was just gonna bring that up. How many porta johns do we have down there right now, please, for clarification?
Rosa, do you know?
There are 4 sitting there.
Okay.
Do we really still need 4 with everything else open? Can we cut that down to 2 down there? How does the rest of the council feel about that? We're making them pay to park down there and there's a couple porta johns. Do we really still need 4 when everything's open and the public restrooms are open at the artist co-op?
Well, I see, but I think maybe we should, I like the idea of cutting back to 2, maybe, to get us through the holidays right now. And then by the end of the year, they go away. We won't wait till March. But it's a good point, Alex. But I think
And
we
the
phase it a
other-
little bit.
The other point about it is the artist co-op is a bunch of our artists here in Jerome. So
Yeah.
if we offer them a porta john right there, a couple for emergencies, but we make them go down there and see all that beautiful stuff to use
Yeah.
that public restroom, it's kind of a win-win for them.
No,
You know,
absolutely. No,
people
absolutely.
need to come see that stuff. So I agree if everyone else on the council thinks that we should have cut it down to 2 and then get rid of them after the holidays.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Alex. Everybody else seemed to agree. I see Jane shaking head. Good. You're right, Sage. Yeah.
So
So
2
let's,
now,
that,
as of January 1st, we'll get rid of them all.
yes.
Okay.
Phase it down to 2, and then by then we're moving on. Thank you, Alex. Moving on to 9E. This is the resolution 624, resolution town council of the town of Jerome, Arizona, amending the adopted fee schedule regarding building permit fees.
Okay, I can go over this
Yes,
if you'd
please.
like.
Yes, please.
I provided a whole lot of information here.
I saw a
talked to
whole lot
Mary,
there. Yeah.
And there had been, the remaining question was in the valuation and fee schedule, the fact that the per $1,000 amount went down as the value of the project goes up. That apparently is fairly consistent with a lot of other towns. And I gave you examples of what everybody else is doing. So that's the information you asked for.
So we're looking to have a vote to go forward with this.
Yes.
Sounds good. Do I have any other discussion? I don't see any hands up. Could I get a motion, please? To go forward with resolution 624.
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Motion to second,
Thank you for the motion.
or I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. I was going to say, for a second, I didn't hear it. There you go. Good. We have a motion and a second to approve. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution 624 passes. Thank you very much. Zoning administrator position. I've heard that. We have a zoning administrator position. This is an interesting situation we're in. We need to fill that position. The opportunity we have, I think it's a little pricey, but it's worth it. We have an opportunity to get a part-time person in there. Interim public management is Tim's company. They are well-known at this. They've been doing this for a while. They've got 3 candidates they want to make us aware of, I understand. They charge a $1,500 deposit to retain them. It's a retaining fee that gets applied to the cost. So it's not like just giving them $1,500, then you get in a person and that money they keep. That money goes to cover the expenses of if we take someone. We do need someone. And I certainly think that even if it's part-time, like I say, their track record is really good. And I certainly, recognizing that it is costly, do recognize that it is a service that we need to put in place for the next couple of months, at least the next 2 or 3 months, so that we can move forward appropriately. Candace, please.
Yeah, I just give you a little bit of budgetary information about this.
Yes.
I did hear from some of the other towns in the meantime, since I wrote that report, with one very rare exception, the people that they've engaged through this firm have been very, very, very good. Their only concern across the board was the cost, because it is costly. So I looked at our numbers, and so far, because we have not been paying a zoning administrator, we've saved $8,750, and each week we save another $1,450. So over 13 weeks, we will have saved $18,850. That would cover with estimated mileage, because you saw that I'm just guessing at what they're going to charge us based on what they're charging someone else. So you pay that fee plus mileage. So I'm thinking that what we've saved would cover about 18 to 20 days of an interim zoning administrator if it costs us about $1,000 a day. And every day after that we use one would probably cost us about $650 above what we budgeted. So right now we could cover 18 to 20 days. And if you spread that out to 2 days a week, something like that, it extends the time a little bit. Again, this is just a guess. I have not gotten numbers from them. I just got, the only number that I gotten from them is the $1,500 retainer that would be applied to that. So basically, we could get 18 to 20 days with no impact on our budget, and again, estimating. And then after that, it would cost us about $650 a day for every day we use somebody. And 18 to 20 days could be, if it's 2 days a week, a couple of months, 2 to 3 days a week.
And the good news is we're making the money, as we heard in the beginning on the budget, we're really doing quite well. And this is an area we need to make sure we take care of.
Just to clarify that, though, the fact that we're bringing in more than we anticipated doesn't mean we can spend it in this budget year. It has to be budgeted.
Got it.
Be nice if we could, but
Yeah, no, I got it. I think, but I think for the next month or so, we need some coverage in there for the town. I mean, that we need to have someone in place, even if it's just for 2 months, 3 months max.
so I guess I need to know if council wants to do this.
Any further
We're not getting
discussion?
any
please?
responses to our ad, and I've got it all over the place, so.
And I like
And
sticking with
I
it.
have, can I ask
Sorry,
a
yes, please,
question?
Dave. Sure.
So any of these other towns that you talked to, Candace, are they using them now? Are they actually getting employees through them now? Because I manage a business up here, and getting applicants is few and far between, excuse me. It's few and far between everywhere. It's not just for the zoning administrator, and that amount seems excessive to me.
Which amount?
It's high, and everybody agrees it's high.
Yeah, the $1,500, the retainer.
And I believe they are active right now. He told me, Mr. Pickering told me that he has quite a stable of professionals that he's certain he could provide us with some good names, but don't know till we see them.
Yeah. The good news is we have the money. It is expensive, but I think for a short term, we need to do something. And a part-term.
Where is
part-time-
it?
May I follow up, Mr. Mayor?
Of course. Say.
So, I personally would like to see some numbers from them as to what it would cost us. Because you're just guessing, Candace.
I am.
And the only number I saw was 1,500, and I saw all these extras, and I was extremely concerned about it. And then you gave the numbers that you just gave. And that's big. That's a lot of money. And I would like to see, before we even consider possibly starting a contract with them, numbers of more than just the $1,500 retainer.
I would like that myself. And if I say that this is what council needs to see in order to move forward. So if I can get that from him, then I would suggest we have a special meeting so that we can move before the next meeting on something like this.
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Okay, all right, got
Great.
it.
Everybody okay? We'll do that. Sounds good. Thank you. Thanks, Candace. Thanks, Age. South, okay, the 10A, are we up to 10A?
Yeah,
Resolution number 629. Authorizing a change order to the agreement with Southwestern Environmental Consultants, drainage improvements. I think we're aware of this a little increase. Candace, you want to clarify this for us a little bit?
yes, Krishan got in touch with me, as you can see. Naturally, things in Jerome never are as simple as we think they're going to be. And he's been working very hard on this, and he's requested changes to the contract as I detailed here. One of them will actually go down, which offsets that, and that's the flume. Then the net change is about $26,000, and that will be covered by our grant.
Great. Everybody okay with that? Yes, Jane? Oh, can't hear you.
Muted. I'm muted. I would really like to see what the flume design is.
I can ask him to, we can get that for you.
Thank you,
Good.
because
Sage,
it
you got the
is
same?
a
Yeah,
historic thing.
yeah. Thank
They
you.
did
Thank you.
stop at some point with that because they couldn't go any further with it, but I will ask him to send you what we've got.
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Mhm.
Sage, was that your question as well?
It was.
Thank you. So let's go forward with that. But we do need a motion to go
We need a
forward.
motion, yes.
Can I get a motion to approve this, please?
So
Sage,
done.
yes. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second,
Thank you, Jane. Second. So we have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 629, authorizing a change order in the agreement with Southwestern Environmental Consultants. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Move, we pass it. Thank you. Next, 10B. Amendments to the zoning ordinance for signs. Candace, what do you think about this?
What you see is what the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended. And when John Knight was still here, he and I and Bill Sims went through it, and you see our suggestions here. It needs to go back to planning and zoning if you're going to make these changes. And
Yeah.
so I just want to know how you feel about all this and if you want to deal with this tonight.
Sage, what do you think? Thank you, Candace. Oop. You muted, dear.
She knows.
Unmute. There it is.
There you go.
Yeah, because usually I just push down on my space bar. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
I have lots of questions on this one, lots of comments. Let me see here. So first off, I have a suggestion for G8, where in your synopsis, Candace, you guys talk about, council has recently indicated that town-sponsored or co-sponsored events should be exempt from the requirements for temporary signs.
Yes.
And that change would need to be included here. I would suggest that we make it 16 feet for them.
Okay.
And that my reasoning behind that is what our maximum is for a flag. It is also what our maximum is for a business sign. And then if you go to page 3 of 11. And down on number 22, it should say a permanent or temporary sign located on the premises of the business that it advertises for. I think that word is missing in there for. And then page 5 of 11, D1E. I don't know if they're trying to make it read the words 2 inches by 12 inches, or if they're trying to make it read the number 2 by 12.
It looks like they're trying, I don't know why. I
And
think
the other ones,
it should be
they're all the
written out,
same. They either
actually. It should
read
be the word.
2 inches by 12 inches or the number 2 by 12.
It should be written out. And I don't know why they changed that.
And then I guess it's not as much as I thought. Page 8, G8. It kind of seems like the second sentence of that, examples of temporary signs included, but are not limited to and banner signs. kind of seems like that's not a complete sentence to me.
Sorry, say that again, please. Where are you? Oh, okay. Oh, yes, that's a typo. Including but are not limited to banner signs.
And I think that was it.
Thank you, Sage. Thank you.
And does council have any
And I
comments?
didn't
the
really
other-
have any other problems with it other than just like that's some typo stuff, I
And do you
think.
agree with the suggestions that we made in the memo?
And then just send it back to the planning
Thanks.
and zoning.
Okay,
Do we need a vote on that or just a direct?
no, it's just direction.
Thank you.
I
Thanks, Sage, for
think,
that.
let me just check
Clean that up.
let me check the agenda, hold on.
Yeah.
No, it's action. If you want to make a motion to send this back to planning and zoning with the changes we
With our
discussed
recommendations,
and the
yes.
changes, assuming you all agree with all the comments that we made here, you know.
Yeah, I think they were great.
Yeah, did anybody make comments besides me? Because my end was muted on this side. I didn't hear anybody's comments.
No, I meant the comments in my report.
I just noticed when I looked up that I wasn't hearing and Jack was reading. And when I was trying to unmute myself earlier, I muted everyone coming out. So I didn't hear.
Nobody made comments but you, so.
You're good. All right,
But then
thank you.
there's the ones in my staff report, and I want to know if those are good with you.
We're good. Those
Okay,
are fine,
all right.
Candace. Those
Okay.
will be fine.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve this, to send it back to planning and zoning, please?
So done.
Okay, thanks, Sage. Is there a second, please, Alex?
Yes, second.
Thank you, Alex. We have a motion and a second to approve with the modifications and just send it back to planning and zoning for they can revisit this. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
No, motion
Aye.
carries. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Sage. That'll go back. Next, item 10C. I agree with Alex. I think it's great to get a letter of support for the Verde Valley Circle Trail project. Thank you, Alex, for bringing this to our attention too. You want to comment on that at all, Alex, or?
I'm ready to make a motion that we craft a letter of support for the Verde Valley Circle Trail project.
Good
Unless
advice.
anyone else on the council would like
Yeah,
to talk
second
about
by
it.
Sage.
I just have a question.
Yes, please, Jane.
This is a non-motorized trail? Or is it a motorized trail as well?
The Circle Trail does not go through Jerome.
No, I
Everyone-
know.
You know, I think that it is probably both, but I am not 100% on that. Since it doesn't go through our municipality, we're not doing any kind of agreement. We're just, you know, the memorandum of understanding. We're just supporting it.
Right.
So, I would
Yeah.
have to look back through my emails, Jane. I can look at it. I know that it is definitely a walking trail for sure, but I'm not sure. if
Right.
they
I
allow
was
it or
involved. I was involved with it years ago. And at that time, I think it was just a non-motorized trail, but I'm not sure anymore. So just curious.
Yeah.
We will get clarification on that before we actually craft a letter in support, because we don't actually have that yet. We're just asking the council if everyone's cool with doing that.
Doing it. Yep.
Mhm.
I see Sage has her hand up, please. Sage?
I recall, we were in a couple meetings where they were talking about this during COVID. And it was, I'm pretty sure they were talking about it just being for like hiking and biking. Hiking
Yeah.
and biking, yeah.
I thought so too, but I don't remember for sure. But anyway, but we'll support it and then find out. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries to support, create a letter. Candace, if you could work with Alex on that. we can
Yes,
get
I will.
Thank you. We can get a letter of support. Moving then to 10D. COVID-19 protocol. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I certainly believe we should continue with the Zoom. The cases in Yavapai County are going up tremendously, 130 new cases a day in the last week. There's a lot of concern at the MAC meeting. I know, Candace, when we were on there, I was really stunned by the hearing about the number of hospitalizations that are increasing in Cottonwood and throughout our valley, with people with non-vaccines and even some people with vaccinations that have fallen prey.
Right.
So I would recommend keeping where we are now. I see Mandy's hand up. Mandy, you have the comment, please.
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. I have no problem keeping our protocol as is, unless there has been any issues that maybe staff is aware of that we as council are not. But I haven't heard any complaints from the public about access to services, access to going to the library, any of that kind of thing. So I just am, unless staff has any information that maybe we should know about, I don't see any reason to change things at this point. I would like to revisit this in January, please.
Thank you. Any other comments, colleagues, members, recommend, or are you all okay just keeping us going forward the way we are right now? I guess that's a yes. No one's saying no. Yes, Jane, please.
I have only received a couple of complaints that it's not in public. And I miss our public meetings, but I'm willing to go along with everyone else at this point.
Yeah. If the numbers were getting better, I'd feel more comfortable.
Right.
They were, but all of a sudden things have turned around terribly in the last few weeks. I mean, even Leslie, the health director for Yavapai County, her kids, one of her kids got infected. And now they're all quarantined. People, we just don't expect it. It's spreading more than we thought in our county right now. So I want us to be careful, please. And just on that note too, is I spoke with Spectrum and I spoke with Rusty, and we're looking at next Thursday as a possible date to have Spectrum come up and do booster shots for free, like we did for the other shots. If they can't do it on that week, they'll try to do it the following Thursday. It'll be on a Thursday. It'll be up the way we did it last time, and it'll be free booster shots. I'm trying to get a choice of two. The Moderna will be one, and I'm trying to see if we can get a second one as well. Moderna will be the main one. Alex, you had a question or comment?
I agree with Jane that I do miss our in-person meetings, but at this point, if everyone else feels more comfortable with Zoom, it's fine by me.
Thank you so much. Sage, you okay with this? Thank you, Sage. Mandy, I assume you're okay with it as well. So so Candace, we'll just keep going forward the way we're doing business right now. And let's go to and from the council. Please, any comments, questions, or things you'd like to discuss? I see Alex and I see Mandy.
I don't have
Alex
any.
can go first.
Okay, good. Thanks, Alex.
So-
Okay, thank you. Mandy, please. Not that you've
Never
ever
get
had
through.
anything you want to and from the council before.
No, you think we'll ever get through this agenda item with me saying nothing? But mine is simple and short and sweet this time.
Yay.
The National League of Cities Virtual City Summit starts on Friday. If you would like to take a peek at the agenda, it is on their website. There's several days next week as well. Please let me know if there's any specific things that you would like me to pay attention to on the agenda, and or any of the speakers or presentations or anything that you would like to join me and sit with me for a specific thing or a specific topic, or any questions you want me to ask about it. I would be remiss in letting this meeting end without paying tribute to firefighter paramedic Tyrone Bell, who we lost a few weeks ago. He was a member of the Verde Valley Fire District for several years. Before that, the Verde Valley Ambulance Company. He also spent many years up here in Jerome working in the Culinary Institute in the restaurants, as did his brother. His wife and his mother were both long-term employees of a local business here in Jerome. And his family, of course, has been here for many, many years. That's the Bell family that we always know the roads are done. That was a really difficult, but a really honorific ceremony to attend. I'm grateful that I was invited to go. I had known Tyrone for almost 20 years, since he was a teenager. So I just wanted to publicly on the record say, that we honor him and that we are appreciative of his service to Jerome, his family service to Jerome, and his service to this community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments before I entertain a motion to adjourn? Hearing none, may I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Can I do it today? It's my birthday. I want to make the
Yes, you
motion.
may, of course. What are
Happy
you kidding?
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right.
That was the one thing I wanted out of tonight's meeting, is like the fun part. So I
you
am
go.
going to make the motion
Yay.
to
So
adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Alex, birthday party co-conspirator. Okay, we have a motion in the second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 It is now 9:26 and our town council meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you all very, very much. Mimi, thank you for being here with us. Thank you.